The bank called me and said, "I don't think that's you. Your husband is here right now with a woman who looks just like you." I replied, "That's impossible. He's on a business trip." The voice said, "Please come in right away. My name is Naomi Carter. I am 42 years old. I am an African woman born and raised in Baltimore. I work as a senior compliance officer for a logistics firm. I have spent my life believing in structure, rules, honesty, and quiet dignity. People say I am calm, measured, not dramatic, and that is why what happened to me shook not only my marriage but my sense of reality. Stay with me because what I uncovered started with one phone call and ended with a truth that changed everything. I was at my desk on a Tuesday afternoon, the kind of afternoon where nothing remarkable happens, spreadsheets open, coffee cold, rain tapping the window, when my phone rang. The caller ID showed my bank branch. I almost ignored it because I assumed it was another automated reminder, but something made me pick up. The woman on the other end sounded hesitant, polite but uneasy. She said, "Mrs. Carter, this is Angela from First Federal. I need to verify something with you." I said, "Yes, of course." She paused, then said, "I do not think that is you. Your husband is here right now with a woman who looks exactly like you." For a moment I thought I misheard her. I laughed softly and said, "That is impossible. My husband Marcus is on a business trip in Chicago. He left yesterday morning." She went quiet, then said, "Please come in right away. We have a situation." I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Not anger, not fear, confusion, the kind that makes your body cold. I grabbed my coat and keys, told my assistant I had an emergency, and drove to the bank with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. As I drove, memories flooded in. Marcus and I had been married for 12 years, no children by choice. He worked in real estate development, charming, articulate, always dressed impeccably. He had always been attentive, never abusive, never cruel, but recently distant, distracted, always on calls he stepped outside to take, trips that came up suddenly. I had told myself it was business, successful men travel, that is what they do. When I walked into the bank, I saw them immediately. Marcus was standing near the manager's office, his back to me, and beside him was a woman, tall, elegant, wearing a cream coat, same height as me, same hairstyle, same posture, even the same pearl earrings I wore often. My stomach dropped. She turned slightly and I saw her face. It was not my face exactly but close enough to confuse a stranger. Same complexion, similar bone structure, same calm smile. She was holding my husband's arm like it belonged to her. The bank manager rushed toward me, whispering, "Thank God you are here. We were about to authorize a significant transfer." But something felt off. I looked straight at Marcus and said his name. He turned around and the color drained from his face. "Naomi," he said, forcing a smile. "What are you doing here?" I replied quietly, "You tell me. You said you were in Chicago." The woman beside him looked stunned, then annoyed. She stepped forward and said, "Excuse me, who are you?" Marcus squeezed her hand and said, "It is okay," then turned to me and said, "This is a misunderstanding. I asked the bank manager to give us a room." My voice was steady even though my heart was pounding. Inside the office I sat down. Marcus stood. The woman remained standing, arms crossed, eyes sharp. I said slowly, "Marcus, introduce us properly." He hesitated, then said, "This is Nadia, a colleague." I said, "A colleague who looks like me, dresses like me, and comes to the bank pretending to be my wife." Nadia laughed coldly and said, "I am not pretending. Marcus told me everything, that you two are separated, that I am stepping into your place." I looked at Marcus and said, "Is that what you told her?" He opened his mouth then closed it. The silence was louder than any answer. The bank manager cleared his throat and said, "Mr. Carter, we cannot proceed with any transactions until this is resolved." I stood up and said, "Nadia, please wait outside. This is between my husband and me." She hesitated but left, heels clicking sharply against the floor. When the door closed, I looked Marcus in the eye and said, "You have 5 minutes to tell me the truth, all of it." He sat down heavily and rubbed his face, then began to speak. He said he had met Nadia 2 years ago at a networking event. She admired his work, his ambition. She reminded him of me when we were younger, more spontaneous, more impressed by his success. He said it started as emotional support, then turned into an affair. I felt something inside me break quietly, not explode, just crack. I asked why the impersonation, why bring her to the bank. He admitted that he had been planning to move money, joint savings, investments. He wanted to secure assets before telling me he wanted a divorce. Nadia had suggested presenting herself as me for convenience, to avoid complications. I asked him if he loved her. He said he did not know. I asked if he respected me. He could not answer. I stood up and said, we are done talking here. I walked out of the office, past Nadia, past the stunned staff, and left the bank without looking back. That night I did not cry. I went home, opened a notebook, and started writing dates, trips, phone calls, inconsistencies. I am a compliance officer, patterns are my language, and the more I wrote the clearer it became. This was not just betrayal, it was calculated. Over the next week I quietly took steps. I consulted a lawyer without telling Marcus. I froze joint accounts, documented everything. I requested copies of bank footage, transaction attempts, emails. I let Marcus believe I was still in shock, still undecided. Meanwhile Nadia began contacting me, first apologetically, then defensively, then aggressively. She said Marcus promised her a future, said I was controlling, cold, uninterested. She said she loved him. I met her once, in a public cafe. I wanted to see her clearly. She was nervous. She said she never meant to hurt me. I told her calmly, you did not hurt me, you exposed him. She frowned, confused, and asked what I meant. I smiled slightly and said, you think you are replacing me, but you are just a placeholder in his story. He will do to you what he did to me. She scoffed, but her eyes wavered. The real turning point came when my lawyer uncovered something else. Marcus had been using my identity not just with Nadia, but in business dealings, forging my consent on documents, leveraging my clean record to secure loans. If those deals collapsed, I would have been legally liable. That night I confronted him, not with anger but with evidence. I laid the documents on the table one by one. His face went pale. I told him I had already submitted copies to my lawyer and the bank's fraud department. He panicked, begged, said he never meant for it to go that far, said he still loved me. I told him love does not require deception, and trust once broken does not regenerate. Within a month the consequences unfolded. The bank launched an investigation. His company suspended him pending review. Nadia learned the truth about the finances and realized she was not entering a fairy tale but a legal storm. She showed up at my door one evening, crying, saying he had lied to her too, that he had used her. I listened quietly, then said, you and I are not enemies, but we are not allies either. Accountability is not revenge, it is balance. The divorce proceedings were swift and thorough. Because of the fraud attempt and financial misconduct, I was awarded the majority of assets, not as a victory but as protection. Marcus moved out, his reputation tarnished, not by me, but by his own actions. The last time I saw him was in court. He looked smaller somehow, less polished. He tried to meet my eyes. I looked past him, not out of hatred but closure. People ask me if I feel satisfied, if this was revenge. I tell them no. Revenge is loud and consuming. What I chose was dignity and truth. The most unbearable consequence for someone who lives by deception is exposure. Today my life is quieter, steadier. I rebuilt not just my finances but my sense of self. I learned that betrayal often wears familiar faces, that calm women are often underestimated, and that justice does not always require rage. If there is one thing I want you to take from my story, it is this: when something feels off, listen. When the truth comes knocking, open the door. And when someone tries to erase you by imitation, remember, no one can live your life better than you can. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?